What's happening? Facebook, YouTube, how you doing? It is Sunday, and guess what time it is? It is time to talk some sports. It's time to rap a little bit. I am Kendrick, the sports guy with TFG Sports Media and Kendrick Sports Hustle. That's SporTZ, HUSTLE. I want to say thank you for dropping in. I'm also live on TikTok. Got a few people already in over here. My man, Cedric Fletcher, the Texas Psycho Man, enjoying. Appreciate you dropping in over here on TikTok. I am live as well on Facebook and YouTube at TFG Sports Media. Again, and make sure you check me out over there. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already on YouTube, and make sure you follow me on Facebook and subscribe to my Kendrick Sports Hustle on YouTube as well. That's SporTZ, HUSTLE. So I hope everybody's having a great weekend. I'm in Texas. It was nice yesterday. It's a little cloudy and a little cool for my taste today, but it's all good. And we just talking sports. Again, that's my passion. That's what I've been doing since I was a little shorty, wearing my doggone Batman and Spider-Man underoos. I've always loved sports. I worked in the industry for over 20-something years. I'm a little over 25 years, 26 years. I worked in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. I worked in the Tyler market the majority of my time, and I worked a little bit in the Austin market. And again, I was a news sports videographer. I did a little bit of stuff in front of the camera during high school football season in East Texas. But now I'm just trying to carve my own path. Sometimes you got to figure it out. Sometimes when life gives you lemons, you got to make lemonade. So I'm trying to make a whole lot of lemonade, trying to do this thing independently. So we'll see what's happening. Again, I want to thank all that's already joined me on TikTok, and make sure you're watching me here on YouTube as well as Facebook. And come in, comment, let me know you're watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't, and most importantly, hit that notification bell on YouTube to be alerted when new content is headed your way. So make sure you do all that good stuff. You also can like and follow TFG Sports Media on Facebook, as well as you can follow Kendrick Sports Hustle on Facebook, as well as you can follow me, Kendrick Roland Henderson, on Facebook, as well as on Instagram, Kendrick1969. So you can follow me on all those different platforms. So we're going to talk about March Madness. Again, make sure you come in, hit that like button, hit that comment button so I know you're here. We're talking March Madness, first of all. And I got some news for you all, whoever got your brackets. Can you read this? I'm going to put this up. Can you see that? Can you read that? Can you read that? TikTok. What does that say? If you can't read it, YouTube, Facebook, can you read that? Well, you might as well do your brackets like this. And throw them in the trash, because guess what? There are no more perfect brackets as of yesterday. There were a lot of upsets. Lower seeds beat the higher seeds. So right now, there are no perfect brackets, which I'm sure no one is surprised, because that's what it is. March Madness is always going to be some madness. And we got games going on right now. Matter of fact, we had a game that just ended not too long ago. We had the number 10 seeded Colorado Buffaloes and the number 2 seeded Marquette. And that was a great game. The number 2 seed Marquette, they advanced to the Sweet 16. They got the W. I believe it was 81-77, I believe, was the final score. And the head coach of Marquette, Shaka Smart, this is his first time in the Sweet 16 since he was at Texas, I believe. So it's been a minute. So they have punched their ticket to the Sweet 16. Marquette did defeat Colorado. Again, that was a great game. We've had some great games over the weekend. Now, right now on CBS, we have the number 8 seed Utah State against the number 1 seed Purdue Boilermakers. And right now, Utah State is up 15-13 with 12 minutes and 56 seconds into the first half. So will another number 1 seed punch their ticket to the Sweet 16? Now, let's talk about some of the teams that's already made it there. Number 4, Kansas did not. On yesterday, they got upset by, well, I wouldn't call it upset because it was the 5 seed. Gonzaga and Kansas was pretty evenly matched, but Gonzaga got the big win, 89-68, and that makes Gonzaga's 9th appearance in the Sweet 16 with head coach Mark Few. They've made it to a couple of Final Fours as well, so Gonzaga has done their thing. As far as Kansas, head coach Bill Self, he said, hey, we just couldn't get it done. They didn't have their best player for the tournament because of injury, and so they got to regroup there in Lawrence, Kansas. So again, the Kansas Jayhawks, they are done for the season. As well on yesterday, if you don't know, now you know, I am a North Carolina Tar Heels fan. And North Carolina, I thought this was going to be a tough game. It ended up not being as tough as I thought, but the number 1 seed, Tar Heels, punched their ticket to the Sweet 16 with the big victory over the number 9 seed of Michigan State Spartans, 85-69. This makes the Tar Heels' 31st Sweet 16 appearance. Head coach Hubert Davis, you know, a couple of years back, they made it to the championship game and got beat on the heartbreaker. So it's been a ride for Coach Davis. So that's where we're at. Craig, thanks for dropping in, my man. Craig says, I think rankings are rigged. Too many good teams for rankings to be relevant. You know what, Craig? I think some people were upset with the way that some of these teams were seeded this year. I could see that. But far as saying rigged, I won't say it's rigged. I just say that the committee sometimes, they give some of the bigger schools, they give them a little more weight than they give the mid-majors, in my opinion. Again, I don't want to say rigged. I just think sometimes the committee gets it wrong. I really do. I think sometimes they give some of the teams that have a history of being in the tournament, you know, they give them a little pass. I guess I want to say they give them a pass. So, but to say it's rigged, I'm not going to take that step and say it's rigged. I just think that sometimes the committee that makes these seedings, they get it wrong. And anytime you leave it up to human error, anytime you leave it to a human body, they ain't gonna ever get it right. I mean, we saw that in the championship, the college football, not the BCS, but now how the playoff system. You know, they will only pick 4. Some of those 4 teams, maybe 1 or 2 shouldn't have been there. I know the big stink was Florida State this past season, and I was big on. I thought they should have been in the Final Four. But, you know, obviously it didn't play out that way. And then a lot of people, the way Florida State got beat in the bowl game, then a lot of people say, see, they shouldn't have been there. But, again, that happens. TCU made it into the Final Four, I believe, and they got their butt ran up and down the field, too, in the championship game. So there's always a different way of looking at it. So, again, March Madness, again, it is madness. So we're getting down to the nitty-gritty, the Sweet 16 teams. We already got 9 in there now. We got number 3 seed Illinois, number 2 seed Iowa State, number 11 seed NC State, number 5 seed, again, Gonzaga, number 3 seed Creighton, number 2 seed Tennessee, number 1 seed North Carolina, number 2 seed Arizona, and now the number 2 seed Marquette. They are all in the Sweet 16. Those games will start on Thursday, and we got games coming up tonight. If you want to find where all these games are being played, they're being played on CBS, TNT, True TV, and TBS. On CBS, they also streaming it to Paramount Plus. On True TV, TNT, and TBS, they also are streaming them to Max. So you can find those. And the other number 1 seeds, the other 2 number 1 seeds are playing tonight. Number 1 seed Houston is playing number 9 seed Texas A&M, I believe. So that's going to be a battle for Texas. That's going to be a pretty good game. They're playing tonight, as well as number 1 seed UConn is playing tonight as well. Right now, number 1 seed Purdue is playing Utah State. So will all 4 number 1 seeds make it to the Final Four? That's the question. I put a poll up on TikTok. I want to know, do you think all Final Four all the number 1 seeds will make it to the Final Four? We'll see. I don't think they will. I don't think all 4 are going to make it. I just think the men's side, it's a lot of parity now in NCAA college basketball, because I think the transfer portal has changed the game in college athletics, as well as especially college basketball, the one and done, or now I think you got to go at least 2. I think that's changed the game, because a lot of the more talented 4 and 5-star college basketball players, they don't stay all 4 years. So now you see a lot of the teams with juniors and seniors, a lot of those teams are together a lot longer, and they win it. That was one of the things that hurt Kentucky, who got beat, by the way. Their roster was made up, I think they had 8 freshmen and like 5 sophomores and 2 juniors. They're a very young team. And I'm quite sure a couple of those freshmen probably not going to come back. So that's the thing with college basketball. The transfer portal definitely has hurt it, and then going to a lot of the talented players leaving early and going to the NBA. So again, March Madness is maddening. It's getting it on again. If you want to watch, Purdue right now is playing Utah State on CBS. Now let's talk about the women's side. I definitely want to talk about one young lady in particular. Got to talk about this young lady at Iowa State. Her name is Audie Crooks, and I can play off her. There's so many ways you can. She has a great name in my book for basketball, for sports. Audie Crooks. I dig that name. Well, she did her thing on Friday night. If you can see that, if you're watching me on YouTube and Facebook, you can see her stat line. Audie Crooks, freshman center for the Iowa State Lady Cyclones. They got the big victory over the Lady Maryland Terps on Friday night. I believe it was 96 to 87, something like that. But the stat line that Audie Crooks put up, she put up 40 points, 12 rebounds, and get this, she was 18 for 20 from the field. She only missed 2 shots. And she did her thing again. And to top it off, her Lady Cyclones, they overcame a 20-point deficit. Now, Crooks' 40-point debut is the most points in an NCAA debut in the past 25 years. Again, remember, she's a freshman. She also was an honorable mention All-American in her first year. She led the team in scoring with 18.9 point average and rebounds 7.7. And again, Crooks becomes the first player in women's NCAA tournament history to score 40 points on 90% field goal shooting. Also, well, the legendary UCLA center Bill Walton also did that as well. He did that back in 1973, but she's the first player in women's NCAA tournament history to do that, to score 40 points on 90% field goal shooting. So I definitely want to give a shout out to her, Audie Crooks. She has a great story, emotional story too, because during her post-game presser, they asked her how does she get up for the game, and she talked about how she draws her strength from her dad. I believe her dad's name was Jeremy. And unfortunately, her dad passed away when she was 16 years old. So again, she's a freshman. So that was like roughly 2 years ago. So she says, every game she prays and she feels his spirit. And she said he has the best seat in the house. So, I just wanted to talk about this young lady and talk about how she did her thing. She looks unstoppable. I feel you, Craig. She does. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to her. And the women's tournament is getting it in too, by the way. I think I'm more excited about the women's tournament than the men. I mean, I'm trying to watch both because USC got that fabulous freshman who goes by the name of Juju Watkins, who's doing her thing. We already know about Caitlin Clark at Iowa, and we already know about Angel Reese at LSU. Paige Buchers, I believe, at UConn, and then we got the South Carolina, who's the #1 overall seed. On the women's side with head coach Don Staley and their crew, they doing their thing. So the women's tournament got some, and the Lady Texas. I got to talk about the Texas Lady Longhorns too. They doing their thing. So we got the women's side. Again, I think it's just much excitement for their tournament as the men. I don't know if you guys remember a couple of years back, they had that big controversy about the differences of what the men's tournament and how they were treating them as the women. The gift bags were even better for the men. Even the dinners that the men, the tournament was giving the men, was the women was getting just crap down in San Antonio. So it was a big issue about that. They had a big meeting and they came together. Now it's all promoted under one umbrella. If you didn't know, the women's tournament is called NCAA March Madness, just like the men as well. They all under the same umbrella. They all getting promoted the same way and all that. So I'm glad they came to their senses and did something like that. Craig says, were you watching South Carolina women's team is going to win it all? Don got that team playing well. Yeah, I think they're going to win it all, Craig. Yeah, they undefeated. Plus, I don't see any team beating them. I think the only team that will give them any trouble if they meet up, it would be LSU. I don't even think they would have a problem with Iowa. I don't even think they have a problem with USC, even though, again, I think USC got a good team, with that talented freshman Juju Watkins. But I think South Carolina just got too much talent. The women, they just got too much talent on that side. So I think they're going to go undefeated, and I think they're going to win it all. So again, y'all make sure y'all check out the women's side too. The women, they over there doing their thing. So don't forget, the women's tournament is going on ESPN and ABC. It's a game going on right now, I do know, on ABC. So y'all make sure y'all check it out after you finish watching me. All right, so we're going to move on. We're going to stay at USC. Let's talk about Caleb Williams. He had his big pro day. I believe it happened on Wednesday, and it was 9 representatives of the Chicago Bears were in the house to check him out. And looks like he's probably going to be the first pick in the draft. And I think we pretty much figured that out when the Bears traded Justin Fields to the Steelers. Craig says they were up on North Carolina by 36 at halftime. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, yeah, Craig, I'm not surprised. Yeah, they gonna run away with this thing. It is March Madness and anything can happen, but I just think the South Carolina women, they are just too strong. I just think they're gonna do their thing. But back to Caleb Williams. He's gonna be the number 1 pick again. 9 representatives for the Bears were out there. General Manager Ryan Poles was there, as well as head coach Matt Eberflus, and even new wide receiver for the Bears, Keenan Allen, was there too. From all that I read and some of the clips that I watched, he threw a damn good ball. He was making all the throws. He was doing some rollouts, and he was throwing all the different routes. And all that. He looks like his arm, it looks pretty strong. But I've always kind of been on the fence with Caleb Williams. I think he's talented. I mean, he's 6'1", 215 pounds, good size. You know, some people might say 6'1" is a little short, but I think he has good size. He can run. He's a pretty decent scrambler as well. But in some of the big games, he didn't show up. You know, that's what some of the people were saying. I did see with Dan Orlovsky, I can never pronounce his name. He's an ESPN analyst for NFL, and he basically said that his performance was mid, was average. So, you know, it's always I always say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. That's just kind of like when different men see a woman. Some men might think that woman's attractive, and some might think she's all right. That's kind of how you view, you know, these scouts and stuff when they rating these players during these athletes. But I think Caleb Williams. I don't know when you drafting a quarterback. I don't know if there hasn't been a sure thing at quarterback in a minute. I mean, they said that Andrew Luck was a sure thing. I think he was the last one where everybody was a unanimous decision that Andrew Luck was going to be that dude. And I would say he was that dude. He retired early, obviously, but I guess he was that dude. It just depends on how you look at it. I think before him, I think even Peyton Manning probably would have been the last quarterback you said where we know that's a sure thing. So quarterback is always a crapshoot, you know. Did I think the Bears made the right decision by trading Justin Fields? I just think they didn't give Justin Fields enough around him to allow him to be successful. You changing head coaches and offensive coordinators with a young quarterback, that doesn't help his growth at all. So I think Justin Fields just didn't get enough. He didn't get enough help. He didn't get enough. He wasn't surrounded by enough talent. And I think when you're bringing in a rookie quarterback, the best thing you can do for him is surround him with better talent. And I think that's what the Bears are trying to do now. They signed running back DeAndre Swift. Again, they got wide receiver Keenan Allen coming over. So we'll see. But in my opinion, what I saw on again, it's kind of hard to judge when you ain't throwing against the defense. You got on shirts and shorts. So it's kind of hard to judge because it's not contact. But I mean, he looked pretty good. But again, I'm not really sold on Caleb Williams. But I can be wrong. Just like people weren't sold on Patrick Mahomes. You know, the only people that were sold on him was Kansas City Chiefs, and look where he is now. So it can happen. A lot of people weren't sold on Lamar Jackson as well. Matter of fact, they wanted to switch. A lot of scouts were saying that he needed to be a wide receiver. Look at what he's done. He's won 2 NFL MVPs. been to an AFC championship. Obviously, he hadn't won the big one yet, but I mean, look, so a lot of times these guys get it wrong. So you can't always take what a scout says as gospel in my mind. Craig says, some say Jalen Daniels looks better. Again, that's what I'm saying, Craig. It depends on who you listening to and who you watching. Some say Jalen Daniels is that. Some say that kid from North Carolina. What is this? Drew May, whatever. I can't remember his name. Some say that he could be better than Caleb Williams. So again, we've heard this conversation before. We heard it back in the gap when people were saying Ryan Leaf was better than Peyton Manning. And we saw how that looked. We how that worked out. So again, it's beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Again, I think the Bears are going to take this kid at number 1. I think the Commanders have the number 2 pick. I think they're going to take the kid from North Carolina, May. I think they're going to take him, and the Patriots got the number 3 pick, and I think they're going to take Jaden Daniels from LSU. That's my opinion. I think that's how it's going to rock. So we'll see. Again, an NFL draft is coming up the end of April. It is in the Motor City, Detroit. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure there's going to be some more news makers coming soon. So let's move on to our next topic. Let's switch gears. Let's talk about sports podcasts. We're talking about I did a segment on this when last Monday. The Mind the Game podcast made its debut on Tuesday with LeBron James, former NBA player and current ESPN NBA analyst JJ Redick. They decided to come together to make their own podcast, which this cast was going to be mainly talking about basketball, the X's and O's of basketballs and basketball, and just the mindset of players. And it's gotten rave reviews. Well, it depends on what comments you read. In my opinion, it's gotten pretty good reviews. They already have 330 subscribers. The first episode, again, which dropped last Tuesday, it's already had 2.6 million views as of last Tuesday that I just checked. But again, this is a brainchild of LeBron James and JJ Redick. And I think this was born from a couple of weeks ago when JJ Redick was on ESPN, and he was pissed off about how some of the stuff that he does on his YouTube channel, how he can do a segment on talking about the X's and O's, you know what I'm saying, drawing up plays, or what's a pick and pop and isolation play. And when he just getting down to the X's and O's of the game, he could post a video on that. It may get 10,000 views or whatever. But if he posts a controversial segment, i.e. the one when he went off on his former head coach, Doc Rivers, who was now the head coach of the Bucks, and he was blasting Doc Rivers and being somewhat negative, how those videos get 60, 70, 80,000 views. Well, I could tell JJ Redick this. That's what it is. People like negativity. People like the sexy stuff. They like, that's what people going to click anytime. We see it all the time in social media. Some of the more positive stuff doesn't get the most eyeballs. It's always the most negative stuff that do. So that's the way it works. You can't get mad about it. It is what it is. But I'm just going to give my opinion on this podcast. I like it. I'm a former high school basketball player. I watched it. And I like the X's and O's parts. I like them explaining, and JJ Redick drawing on the clipboard how a high pick and roll, and how you do it from the middle of the floor, and how you do the isolation plays from the inbound plays, or the high pick and roll, or you pick and pop, or the screen downs and all that. I like that. I like that conversation because, again, I played high school basketball. So my thing is this. I think this podcast ain't meant for those that like the Jerry Springer type podcast. When I say Jerry Springer, I'm talking about the salacious, the negative, the going at the GOAT conversations, all that stuff, which is old and played out. You're not going to get that from this podcast. And so if that's what you're looking for, you're going to be out. You're not going to watch. I posted when this first premiered, after I watched it, I gave my analysis. I said that if you're looking for the Jerry Springer type sports podcast that we see a lot in social media, there's a whole bunch of guys do it. They love going at each other. They love talking about the GOATs and pitting LeBron against MJ and pitting the 90s basketball against the era and just negative. If you like that type stuff, it's plenty of channels out there for that. But this ain't the podcast for you if that's what you think you're going to get. And I personally like it. I dug it. The only problem I had was one statement LeBron made, when he said that AI and Stephen Curry were the most influential guys in the game that he's seen since he's been watching. And I thought that was cap. And he kind of glossed over MJ. I'm not saying he got to kiss MJ's ass, but just to say those two guys was the most influential. And he really didn't explain why, because influential could mean what they do outside of the game or what. He didn't say. But for him, he kind of mentioned MJ briefly before he said that. But I was like, okay, that's cap, LeBron. Again, and I love AI and I love Stephen Curry. I wouldn't say they the two of the most. They definitely brought it. They definitely were influential to move this game forward, because there's a lot of people that did that. But to say those are the two most, I definitely disagreed with that. And I thought that was cap on LeBron's part. But outside of that, everything else they talked about, man, I ain't have an issue with. I know they're going to be taking digs. I mean, this is the year of the Michael Jordan slander. And I'm an MJ guy. If you didn't know, I'm an MJ guy. He is my GOAT. I didn't say he was the GOAT. I said he's my GOAT. And there's no analytics, there's no memes, there's no debate, there's no conversation that's going to ever change my mind. Just like I'm sure those that believe that LeBron is the GOAT, or Bill Russell, or Kareem, or Wilt, there's nothing that's going to change people's mind. That it is. So you can have that debate all you want, but I think those, most of the times you grew up with the guys that were your favorites or that you considered the GOATs, and a lot of times that's not going to change. So again, but I like the Mind the Game podcast. I think it's dope. And I'm looking forward to the next episode. I think they're going to be dropping one every week. I think it's going to be dropping on Tuesday, and I liked it. Again, one of my good buddies, Lee Black, he despised it. He said it was awful. he went in on both JJ and LeBron. He said they were arrogant and some other stuff. But he and I disagree on that. But again, and that's fine. So again, I said it's not going to be for everybody, because there's a lot of podcasts out there that's not for me, and I just don't watch it. So that's my thing. So again, we're getting down to the end of the show. We're just going to freestyle here for a second before I get out of here. I want to thank everybody that's dropped in to watch on TikTok as well as on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the sports channel on YouTube. That's TFG Sports Media, as well as subscribe to Kendrick Sports Hustle on YouTube. That's SporTZ HUSTLE. Make sure you like and follow both on Facebook, TFG Sports Media and Kendrick Sports Hustle. You can follow me on Facebook as well. That's Kendrick Roland Henderson. You also can follow me on Instagram. That's Kendrick1969, and TikTok. You can hit that follow button, Kendrick Henderson 51. Make sure you follow me on TikTok. Again, I'm doing this live on both, on TikTok as well as on Facebook and YouTube. And I want to start doing give my TikTok people some more love too. So I'm gonna try to start doing a little bit more live over there as well. My man Craig Thomas says I'm gonna check them out. Check them out, Craig. Again, I don't think it's for everybody. Like I said just a minute ago, if you don't like to hear X's and O's, if you don't like to talk the basketball talk about, the pick and pops and all that, and certain isolations and certain circumstances and how they think basketball, you're probably not going to like that podcast. But if you're looking for somebody, go to listen to somebody talk about who's the GOAT and what player is trash and who's trash. There's plenty of them out there. Believe me, I subscribe to them. I watch a little bit of their stuff, but it's the same old. It's beating the same old horse all the time. But they get the views, so I get it. So again, March Madness. Again, if you got a bracket, you might as well throw it in the trash, because there are no more perfect. I ain't gonna say throw it in the trash, because a lot of people still got their number one seeds still alive. So right now, all the number one seeds are still alive. Purdue and Utah State is playing right now. So we'll see if we'll get another number one seed in the Sweet 16. We already have North Carolina Tar Heels have already punched their ticket for the Sweet 16. So Again, I want to thank you, Craig, for dropping in, my good buddy. I appreciate you dropping in, showing me some love and supporting the show. And hit that dollar sign on YouTube. We now are subscribed at the first level on YouTube. So if you want to contribute to the channel and help the channel grow, hit that dollar sign and you can contribute. Whatever you contribute, it definitely will help me grow this channel. And it's going back in, investing back in. I want to create my own content and do my own thing. So, any little bit will help because I will be starting to purchase my own camera equipment, my new laptop. I'm working on a laptop that I really don't like, and where I can go out and create my own content and do my own thing. Again, my background is television, news, sports, so I was a videographer. I still can go out and shoot my own stuff and edit my own stuff as well. And speaking of which, I'm gonna have a special interview coming up this week. Don't know what day yet. Just keep it locked here to TikTok, TFG Sports Media, as well as Kendrick Sports Hustle. I'm gonna try to bring on a local high school head coach, Rashawn Woods, at my former high school, the John Tyler High School in Tyler, Texas. It is called Tyler High now. But I'm looking to do a live interview to talk about his first year at Tyler High and some other things we just gonna chat about. Talking about high school football, especially in Texas, because high school football is king in Texas. If you don't know, now you know. So I'm looking to bring him on live, and we're gonna do just a little. We're gonna do a talk back. We're gonna do something live one day this week. I got to get with him and figure that out. So again, make sure you hit that notification bell on YouTube to be alerted when new content, new live streams, and all that stuff is coming your way. So keep it locked here for that interview. You do not want to miss it. So I want to thank everybody that watched me on TikTok, my man Craig that watched me on YouTube. If you watch this later, you rewind it on YouTube. Make sure you leave a comment. Let me know who are going to be in the Final Four. Do you think all number one seeds are going to make it to the Final Four? I want to know your answer to that, and make sure you leave that in the comments. So again, I am Kendrick, the sports guy. We will see you on the other side and on the next report. I am out. Peace.